Hey everybody, it's Tyler with Gaia Force Gaming, and I am here with Dan Vang. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
And we're here to talk about this last weekend. We played in the Core TCG Regionals. We have up on screen the spreadsheet with the top 16 players and deck lists. We also have to the left here the decks that I should say the deck that Dan and I played.
Yeah.
An updated version of the Imperialdramon list that we shared last week at the time of recording video. So Dan's deck list is the one on the bottom, and mine is the one on top. There's probably, I think there's a 1 card difference, but like in terms of what cards we played, and then there's like maybe 4 or 5 ratio differences. Or 2 card difference, because
Yeah.
you played the Kumamon over the Lobomon.
Yeah.
uh,
Was so close.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just to point out for people at home. I think our rookie lineups were slightly different. I opted for the BT2 Vmon, whereas Dan just went for more of the jamming Vmon and had a lower rookie count. And then Dan ran the one of Dino Beamon, and I ran 2 Chimeramons. Other than that, it was just ratios with Tamers and his Kumamon over the Lobomon. I will say Lobomon came up being 5k to swing over suspended XVmon in my Imperial matchup, and that was actually really clutch. It actually won me a game. But anyway, this is more of like a free-form tournament report, not really a deck breakdown, so to speak, because you guys know what Imperialdramon does by now. So we're here to talk about our matchups, the event in general, and I guess I'll pass it to Dan from there.
Sure. Thanks. I guess we'll talk about my matchups first, and if anything came up that really saved me in something, I guess would be notable. Like Tyler said, lists very similar. I think a lot of Imperial lists going forward will have pretty much the same formula, maybe a little variance in Hamers, Megadeth numbers, maybe if you're running the Magna, Chimera, and the rookie lineup may change here and there. But overall, deck formula is pretty straightforward. Um, Faced 1 Black War Greymon, 2 Mastamons, a bunch of Imperial Mirror matches, and a blue hybrid. Shout outs to Chris Sock, player. But yeah, a lot of the games really were close. I think Black War Greymon, that was my first round of the day. It was a very tough match against Kevin, only because I think it was a weird game of like us breaking back and forth. So he's looking for pieces, I'm looking for pieces. And in game 2, I barely won the game. I only had, I think, 5 cards left in deck, so that was kind of scary. It was just a weird game because every time I put fighter mode out, he would get rid of it somehow, and I'm kind of just stuck trying to rush him with weenies, trying to get the tempo back. A lot of the mirror matches honestly came down to if I was able to at least swing a security and board wipe them, and hopefully pray they didn't have the Stingmon to kind of go up to DNA. A lot of times, some of them didn't, so I was lucky enough to have that happen. Um, the one time Chimera became a boss monster with Magna Under was, I think, against Sergio. I forget what round we played, but Sergio from Miami. Yeah, when I played him, I was like, oh, I was able to Chimera to be a boss monster, which definitely helped out my favor because he wasn't able to get like rid of it without putting up too much resources. Um, but yeah, I think the hardest matchup really for me was Blue Hybrid and Mastamon. So uh, Mastamon run by Kyle. We tied. I didn't even win. He got game 1 after a grueling match, and then I barely won game 2. But I think a lot of it is really piece swinging to Hell Scythe, and it kills your XVmon or a piece you need, and then they bring back a Magnum Recover. Your tempo is so far behind, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Hell Scythe is insane. I actually, in my matchup against Maste, I just didn't swing with XV ever for that reason. But yeah, I played throughout the day almost a different deck every round. So in round 1, I played against Rapid. In round 2, I played against Mastamon. In round 3, I played Black War Greymon. In round 4, I played against Set Control. That was when I played against KVN, and that was my only loss of the day. Uh, I just couldn't adapt fast enough by the time I realized what kind of list he was playing in game 1. And then in game 2, his security was absolutely the nuts, which, it's going to happen. Um, in round 5, I played against Armor Rush. In round 6, it was the Mirror against Imperialdramon. In round 7, I played my first duplicate, playing Mastamon again. And then in round 8, I did play against Blue Hybrid. So overall, pretty good tournament run. I agree. I think Chimeramon came up a lot with the Magnamon, which is like a stolen tech from Primitive. I definitely did it because he pointed it out, and I was like, yeah, that is a good reason to run Magnamon. But I think the deck plays exceptionally well. I think Imperial, if it leans itself to high risk, high reward plays, which is a play style I know you're very comfortable with, and I also can get jiggy with. But yeah, I mean, what else is there to talk about? Imperialdramon's a strong deck. I don't think it's quite as like unga bunga as people think. What are your opinions on that?
I agree. I mean, I do make the joke that I am the aggro player that just likes to swing, go bird, unsuspend, try to swing as much as possible. But there are some times where you do have to make the conscious choice to not get greedy and swing when you know something can happen. There's, I'm sure you could watch some of the streams where I was swinging with XP and I'm like, well, I hit the Hell Scythe or I hit that defeat. Like, oh, shouldn't have done that, but I did it, And there's some decisions, especially in the mirror. In the mirror, I think it's that's where you have to make the conscious decision. Like, you're probably at 0 in the mirror, and if you've gone to like a Pyildramon, like you're risking a lot swinging once, maybe twice, right? Swinging once, maybe if you have the memory gain Demon, you kind of gain a memory, but you can still pass turn. That's a tough feeling, right? If you know that you hit a Hammer Spark, you pass turn, and they go to 3, you could literally hit you on the crackback and just win the game. So you have to make a very conscious decision how to handle it. I think one of the mirror matches, I didn't swing with Imperial. I only made Imperial to bottom deck one of their pieces, and I played a Madoki to put them at like 2. And I was like, okay, you can't pop your memory boost, you can't play Spark. There's no way for you to actually go into your drop a Stingmon and go into your play. Mm-hmm. So I was able to at least kind of think, okay, so now they can't do that. So now I can take advantage next turn because I had Ken Davis or I had one of the Tamers, so I knew I was going to go at least to 3 unless they got rid of it. Right, so at least I was able to put that advantage and go, okay, so now I know that since I played the slower game and didn't swing into anything, I should be safe. And I think I was rewarded with that because the next turn I did swing with Pyildramon, and it was a Hammer Spark, so I was like, okay, Madoki stops it anyway, so that was lucky for me.
Yeah. How, I guess the other thing is, for the tech cards and stuff, how often did they come up for you? Like, Madoki Betamon, for me, there was probably at least 2 or 3 individual games where having the Madoki did keep my opponent from being able to like pop off on one of their turns. For you, did Madoki Betamon come up at all?
Yeah, I think Madoki came up a few times, especially in the mirror, honestly. That's really where it shines. I think during game 1 against Kyle Kemper when he was playing Mastamon, it did help for a little bit because he had 2 memory boosts and he couldn't get rid of it for the moment. And then when he did, he was obviously, able to pop off and do everything. But in the meantime, I was able to, at least know that he wasn't going to be like, okay, I'm going to pop my boost. The Black Auto, it's still my turn, and then just, off with his play to get into a Mastamon at the end of the turn. So it was nice. The mirror definitely feels great if you're able to, like I said earlier in that situation, right, you're able to get into the Pyildramon and possibly, just choke them with the Madoki. It helps a lot. And obviously next turn, assuming both live, you're able to swing, you don't feel as threatened, right? Because you're like, okay, I'm going to swing. If it's Hammer Spark now, what does it matter? So it did come up a couple times.
For the hybrid choice, did the Kumamon evolution ever come up for you?
Honestly, no. I might honestly go back to the Lobo, like you said. It's really to swing over XVmon or the 4Ks.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a time where I was like, yeah, this is really great that I stripped that bottom source, you know?
Yeah, I mean, specifically in my game against Imperial, I had a Davis out, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a Davis Ken, or maybe it was even
Mm-hmm.
both. And I was able to promote. Um, it was two Davis Ken because I was able to promote my Madoki, go to the 5, evolve to the Lobo because like I didn't have all I had was Raidramons, so I couldn't evolve over the Madoki,
Mm-hmm.
which is a negative, like to point out to people. Uh, I evolved into the Lobo over one of the Davis Kens and
Mm-hmm.
swung over their XVmon, then hard played Stingmon, going to 0, and then I was able to like pale and kind of pop off that turn, and it was
Yeah.
and just that swing, the 5K really came up with Lobomon. I think I only swung with Lobomon for game twice, like in 2 matches, like hybrid for game. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's as impactful as it has been in the past, just because this deck finds ways to attack a lot. What actually came up more often than Lobomon for game was swinging with jamming Vmon and then evolving to Magna to unsuspend and swing for game.
That's pretty busted. I still have not yet been able to do that.
Yeah. Or like swinging with Elydramon, it dying to security and then evolving to a Magna. That came up a couple times as well. But how did you like the Magna? I feel like Magna overperformed for me. Like I think it came up a lot. Having the blocker saved me games that I should have lost. Being able to spit it out with Imperialdramon,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely
Mm-hmm.
helped a lot. When I was like those games you said in the not just in the mirror, but like Imperial has a problem when you get set to 0 security, just surviving. They're like go wide after that, which is where for me the double Chimeramon and Magnamon came up the most.
Yeah, I think for me, Magnamon didn't come up as much. Sometimes I was able to play it. I think there was one mirror match, I don't remember who I played Magnamon against, maybe it was Sergio, where I played it and I was like, oh, I got a blocker now, so I know he won't swing, I feel safe right now. And the next turn I was able to, swing with it, I think it died, but that's fine. I was able to go on the Lydramon, and then eventually I got the Chimera to put under to make it a mini boss, so that was nice. Overall, I didn't get as much advantage to see Magna as I'd like um, as a one of.
Yeah. How did you feel about the Megadeth count at 3?
I think that definitely helped out a lot.
Yeah, it.
Definitely helped out a lot. The
I,
pacing changes so much if you can bounce one of their pieces. Either in security or your turn, just being able to go, oh, you have that card. I'm just gonna Megadeth it. Maybe they go to 3, 4, 5, but then they're essentially resetting. For the mirror, it's great.
yeah,
Um, Against some slower decks that set up, it's not terrible. I think the Megadeth really is great against decks that don't require, I guess, that don't really run hybrids, right? But if you run against a hybrid deck, you never want to see Megadeth. You're like, please don't be Megadeth. I don't want to give back your hybrid or your rapid mon.
and then I guess egg choice. I know a lot of people have been running like Bukamon. How do you feel about just alternative eggs in Imperial?
I mean, I always think about the Upa versus Bukamon honestly. I think I'm okay with Upa for now, only because I think I've gotten more viability out of it as in comparison to, yeah, I've gone to Dragon mode, now I gained that memory, right, and I can do stuff. I think the Upa is still more viable at this point, only because there, there's still people just hard playing stuff or things that just don't have a source, and you can swing and get that draw.
Mm,
In comparison to the Buka, honestly.
yeah, and then Dino Beamon. I didn't. I have no opinion because I didn't get to play it. But how did you feel about Dino Beamon at 1 in your list?
I do like Dino Beamon a lot. I jump back and forth between two Dino B and one Chimera, or one Dino B, or two Dino B versus one Chimera, one Dino B. Just try to take something out up to two Dino B. I think Dino B is really good. Just being able to suspend something, even if you hard Digiball, right? If you have to, That's what I do before I hard Digivolve. Still my turn. And is able to swing over a threat that could possibly be even a bigger threat next turn. And the fact that you can lock something is always nice, like especially if you ever play against a big deck that has blocker, reboot blocker, like Black or Greymon or X Antibody. You can always lock them, which is really, really nice. The fact that you can stop them just for turn to help you save you, or you can swing around the tower, right, and go for security if needed. If you think viable, and the inheritance is actually really the nice part about it, honestly. Forget that the inheritance, this Digimon gets plus 1k for each of its colors. So it essentially makes your fighter mode or your dragon mode 14 or 15k, but the plus 2k helps so much sometimes.
Yeah, that part is crazy.
If you get some kind of god stack, right? If you get that god stack of Dino be under Chimera and it has 4 colors, it becomes a really, really big boss monster.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I do want to try and find room for a Dino Bee, but I don't want to cut to less than 2 Chimeras because it came up so much for me. I felt like Chimeramon helped me make really big swings in my favor in a lot of games. But yeah, I mean, what would you change if there was like an event tomorrow that you wanted to play in? What would your changes be for Imperialdramon?
I'll change the Kunle to Lobomon again, that's for sure. Honestly, that's probably it. I still think about the Davis versus Mimi debate, right? We can have that debate all day. I just think I really like the Davis because when it hurts, like when you're really like looking for pieces, like Davis is king, right?
Yeah.
When you're like looking for pieces and you draw Mimi and you're like, oh, you are kind of useless right now, especially for our deck where we run possibly 7 level 5, right? So you're seeing the viability to hatch and do all that stuff. It's not great. But if you do have the ideal situation, Mimi works great, right? Especially if maybe you're against like Mastamon or Yellow Rapid Hybrid, where you kind of want to hide back and if you want to like make that extra play, great. But overall, I think I'm still okay with it. I think subbing out Shumba for Lobo. I already did that while we were talking, actually. And probably trying to figure out how to squeeze a second Dino Bee in here without taking the Chimera out. That would be my decision. I also want to point out with Dino Bee's effect suspends anything when Digivolving. When DNA Digivolving, then the Digimon suspended doesn't unsuspend in the next unsuspend phase. I want to note that it gets around Breath of the Gods. Breath of the Gods only prevent TP reduction or being bounced back to hand or deck. Doesn't say anything about still being suspended.
Yeah.
So even if they have like that crazy stack, be like, okay, I'm just gonna suspend you.
Yeah, that is a good point. It's that's why I want to find a spot for it because there was my Black War Greymon matchup in game 3. He just sat on a Black War Greymon with blocker, and I just had to like play this weird race where I could go wide enough that he couldn't clear more than 3 attacks for the following turn. But it was like this back and forth for so many turns, and it's like if I just had Dino Bee, I would have won. Like.
It's kind of how I felt versus my Black War Greymon match. It was a weird back and forth for us. Like we both got to tall stacks. We were trying to get rid of it. I think I bounced it, but he was able to like swing over mine, and it was just back and forth.
Yeah. So I mean, all in all, super happy with the regionals. Like we both got our invites. You didn't play in the last regional. Oh no, you did, right?
I did. What was the last one?
Okay.
Core was this one. The last one was Top Cut. That's why I didn't play Carta. I did Top Cut, then Core. I didn't play in Carta.
Right.
I didn't think I would be available, which
so you have 2 invites now. So.
Dang.
So let's see how many you can accumulate this season.
We'll see. I don't think I'll be winning any regionals anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think delays aside, we're already almost in the EX2 format, which hopefully won't be a drastic change, but we'll add more decks to viability, which is really nice. And I
So I
do.
really don't want to see a field of just saying, just putting that out there.
Yeah, I mean, even though there are like these really popular decks in this format, I do feel like we're in the healthiest format we've ever had for Digimon.
100% agree.
Because even the less like I mean, even looking at the top 16 list here, we have let's see the breakdown. It's 7 different decks made top 16, and it's like yeah, Imperialdramon accounted for
Crazy.
6 of them, but I think that's not just because of its viability and power, but also because of its popularity.
Yeah, I agree.
I think people have just been really excited to jam Imperialdramon. He's a fan favorite. He's just he has a legacy in the card game, so to speak.
Yep.
And but I mean, Blue Hybrid, Mastamon, those were both at 3 ofs, and then one of each of Security Control, X Antibody, Beelstar, and Yellow. The yellow number is surprising. So many people are, for lack of a better word, complaining about how Yellow takes advantage of the tournament system, and there was only one in top 16 of this event.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot of these yellow players went to Origins.
Yeah, because what wasn't that one top 3 was all yellow, if I remember correctly.
It was all yellow.
So,
it was all yellow.
I mean,
This was the only one who got Imperial. I was like, let's go.
It's a good deck. I mean, you got to be prepared. Just let this top 16 be a lesson to you guys. You got to be prepared to play yellow, prepared to play Imperialdramon.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think with KVN topping and his list being out there, it's a very oppressive list. So I would not be surprised if we start seeing that list or variations of it with the heavy yellow purple with the Avenged Kidmon to loop everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was
where Avenged Kidmon exists. If your opponent asks you how many option cards in your trash, Avenged Kidmon is coming.
It's too late.
But
in his deck specifically, it's impossible for him to deck out because he will avenge Kidmon, and then that'll put back his Darkness Wave, which he could get back Junomon, which can recycle Avenge Kidmon.
Yep.
So it's like this very hard pressed loop that'll just grind out whatever matchup it needs to, and it's when your recovery is option based and you're putting all the options at the bottom of your deck. It's a very smart deck, and it's very good. I'm surprised it took this long to pop up because I know that I've been talking about how good Security Control gets at this point, and at least behind closed doors. I don't want everyone to start playing it again.
But I do not want to face a ton of Security Control, but it is viable, just like Beelstar is viable in this format. A lot of decks that can take advantage of the option route, security options. It's a viable deck. It's really good. It's just frustrating. I think the deterrent, right, is the mirror matches, right? Because no one wants to go into a mirror match with that.
Yeah, and I mean the deterrent really is you're kind of at the whim of when you're playing a deck like that. It's not usually the person playing the Security Control deck that is making it go to time, but your opponent trying to navigate that matchup can take quite a bit too, especially if your opponent's playing something like Yellow or X Antibody, like a deck that takes a while to build up and get going. It could be that they're not used to the matchup and they have to navigate their way through it. And I mean, I think did KVN have the same record as you, where it was XO1? Or was he XO2? No, he wouldn't have been XO2. He would have been. He would have been
XO1 or XO2.
It wouldn't have been XO2 because his points would have put him much lower. He must have been XO1.
Yeah, so maybe we had the same record. Maybe my opponent win percentage.
Yeah, I think it's because you had you played Jose. No, he was undefeated. I guess
I never played Jose. No.
It would have been your other match. Probably Chris. Chris was probably the tiebreaker that pushed you above him.
Thank God. Shout out to Chris.
Chris and Kyle, because I don't want to misspeak with who he drew with, but I know he drew in the last round, I think, as well, or the round before last.
Chris. In Chris?
Oh, KVN. The round before last is when he drew. With, I'm not sure who he drew with, but...
I don't remember either. I know he played Zenitsu, but I don't remember if he won or lost that one.
I think he won that one.
Yeah.
But me and him had a really, really fun match. I mean, we were shooting the shit the whole time talking about how cool the security control deck was, honestly.
Yeah, it's a great deck. It's super scary to go against, especially for not an inexperienced player, but someone who's inexperienced against that deck. Right?
Yeah, and I made the mistake of thinking he was on the yellow rapid up until I saw certain cards, and then I had to like readjust my plan. But I had already in game one like gone to Imperialdramon at the point where I was like, oh, going to Imperialdramon was a mistake. I'm gonna lose this resource game now. And that's
gonna die.
That's the secret, by the way, guys. You don't want to commit too many resources to your swings because the security's just gonna kill you. Like he will out resource you with a security control.
100%. But 100% true. I think especially same concept, right? If you hit that health site, oh my god. You are in for a world of hurt.
Health Scythe, Chaos Degradation, both of those cards are just insane power levels. And then he's got a bunch of recovery. It's just, and then the thing is too, he plays the Avenge Kidmons, and then he plays a one of Bond of Bravery to evolve over the Avenge Kid to just get that cheeky like trash a security swing for game type maneuver. It's a very smart deck. I might bring it to locals and see how it goes this week. Just to just.
The fact that you know that too, right? If you know they have the one of Bond, and you see the Avenge Kidmon out, you could be like, oh no, you could go to Bond. I don't want to commit the resource to the board, but I kind of have to put pressure, right? It's like one of those kind of things.
Yeah, and it's like 3 memory.
Have Bond.
3 memory is like nothing. Like to go into
Easy.
it. But
easy.
I think I'm really excited for the state of Digimon. I think it's only going to get healthier. I mean, there are going to be things like I'm sure people are going to complain about D-Reaper, but I think it's super, super interesting the way that deck works. I think we're in for a treat with EX2 and even BT9.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think EX2 will, like you said, add more to the horizon and the format of decks, which is great. Just not looking forward to seeing a lot of D-Reaper, but you know, like I said, it's still viable deck. Just gotta learn how to play around that. BT9 will be crazy though. BT9 will have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super stoked that I got my invite early, so that's kind of low pressure for the rest of the regionals. I could play some fun stuff. Not that, I mean, I think Imperial's fun. I wanted to play it before the format changed because I have a bunch of fancy Imperial cards and I wanted to use them.
Same.
And yeah, I think I'm excited to try a green deck next, but I'm not sure which one I want to go for.
Ooh, shout out to everybody. Shivamon Control coming in.
I don't think it's Shivamon. I think it would, if anything, it would be like Green Rapidmon. I think that has some potential, maybe.
I was just trying to throw everyone off your scent, that's all.
Or even, hey, I mean, I could wait a little bit. BT9 coming up. We get that Grand Kuwagamon.
Well, that'll be a whole different story.
But anyway, this was a super fun event. I'm stoked I topped. I'm stoked you topped. Shoutouts to Ben, too, Airborne, for playing the Metal Garurumon deck, even though even though he didn't come top 16, he did get a decent. He went X3 with it, X2-1.
I think he went X3.
X3. I mean, that deck's super cool. I know. If you guys check it out, he might be putting up a video about it. I know Lewis the Panda has a similar build, a slightly more aggressive build, I think, than Ben's, but it's a very, very cool deck. That's another one that I might mess around with because it looks really fun.
I think that's the one I'll mess around with now.
But yeah, anything you want to say before we wrap this thing up?
Shout outs to everyone I played. You know, Kevin, Chris, Kyle, Sergio. I'm trying to think who else I played. Who else did I play? Fishing, Zach. Oh yeah, Zach. Can't forget Zach. Joe Dobby, Alex. You know, all great players. Like I said, it could have went either way. A lot of this with Imperial's really just trying to hold on for dear life and find your pieces.
Yeah, I mean, definitely shout outs to the community. I think the Digimon card game is special in how we I think a lot of the community members who play regularly really build each other up, and that's a really fun and rewarding part of this community. Like, it was cool. I hadn't talked to KBN in a long time, so it was cool to see him do well. I even told him when I played him, I was like, man, I hope you top so people could see this list. And he's like, I hope I don't, because he's like, everyone's gonna see this list and everyone's gonna be mad that I brought it back.
They're gonna copy it. They're gonna copy it. Well, shout out to Eduardo Macy, you know, my guy. He's the one who helped me come up with the short list at the beginning too, when we were going through drafts and stuff. But yeah, I think KVN's list is pretty good. I just think you just have to make sure that people know how to play and play against it.
Yeah, dodge Ancient Grey OTK. Which, by the way, guys, if you're looking for the most glass cannon deck of the format, play Ancient Greymon.
I think it'll be every format.
You can just... You're either going to win or lose, but you're going to do it in like 5 minutes.
Yep. Just keep it going.
Anyway, that's it for us here at GFG. Thank you guys for hanging out with us for a little bit, doing this weird freeform tournament report. Maybe we'll have some cool decks that we haven't already topped with next time. But for now, that's it. Shoutouts to everyone on the team, including the players who couldn't play. Shoutouts to everyone in the Discord playing every Monday, giving us something to look forward to. And yeah, I guess real quick, shoutouts to Adam Frank for I'll drop it on the screen for everyone to see for designing one of our new playmats, the Chimeramon playmat. Check out the Discord to see how he did it.
Digimon Emperor in the corner?
It is. Man, Adam is such a good artist. This thing looks so crisp. I'm just very excited to give it away to you guys. But yeah, check out our Discord to find out how to win one of those. And stay tuned. If you're going to Gen Con, let us know, because I think we're all going to be there. And with that, I guess we could stop rambling now and actually say goodbye. Like, comment, subscribe, gameplay videos coming, metabytes, all that fun stuff. If you want to see anything in particular, leave it in the comments. We'll see you guys. Love you. Bye.